And of course, that story or that development is going to form the basis of discussion this morning. And in studio, I have two members of parliament. One is Dan Manzo. He's on my immediate right. He's a member of parliament from Makweri. Then we have Honorable Wilson Kogo. He's a member of parliament from Chesumei constituency. That is from Nandi County, right?
Nandi County.
Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining us at this hour.
Thank you.
So let me just start with the Honorable Manzo. You've seen those proposed changes by, Jubilee members of parliament to their electoral laws. First of all, what is your reaction towards those amendments?
First of all, it was unnecessary at this particular moment, and according to the Supreme Court judgment, it was specific that the IBC was going to use the existing laws to conduct a poll which is free and fair. So this introduction is mischievous. You know, for every law you make, it tries to sort out a mischief or corrects something or makes order. This particular law is in bad faith, and if you see, they want to trim the powers of the chairman of IBC. They also want to do away with the electronic voting to a good extent, and also make sure that change the meaning of election, so that if there is no election, currently election has to be in 290 constituencies.
Yes.
If it doesn't happen in 290 constituencies, then it is deemed that there is no election. So for now, they want to make sure even if it happens in one constituency or in one region, then there is an election. So this law is in bad faith, and you can see it is seeking to make changes just before the forthcoming elections. It's a bad law whereby Jubilee now want to make sure they have loopholes to steal elections once again.
Honorable Wilson, do you agree with the Honorable Manzo that these laws have been brought about in bad faith by Jubilee? At the same time, remember, it's because of this bill that the talks of the bombers collapsed.
Thank you very much. It's my first time to be here.
You're welcome.
And I want to appreciate the opportunity you've given me to be able also to share my view. Honorable Kogo is my name, and Jubilee member, Nandi County, Chesumei constituency. A lot has been happening in the political scene, and personally, I think we are growing as a country. And when the court came up with the ruling, there is a lot that we've been able to learn as a country, as Jubilee, and I want to believe also as NASA.
Yeah, it's a learning process,
in my opinion,
but we're facing a crisis at the moment.
In my opinion, the lessons we learned from the court, we have to think of the future. From what we have learned, the ballot cast is the most important thing. But when you look at the ruling, it's like the electronic process was the most important thing. I think the changes that have been introduced by Jubilee is in good faith.
Yeah.
I saw, for example, in one of my polling stations in my constituency, where we had the agents of NASA. They literally refused to sign the forms. And when I saw this being used in court by NASA, what came up to my mind was that could this have been a plan? Could this have been prearranged? That is what came to my mind.
So according to you, these laws are meant to seal loopholes?
It is in good faith. It is meant to enhance the effectiveness of IBC.
And I'm
That's
sure,
the way
and
I
I'm
see
sure opposition members of parliament will not take that lightly. Case in point, if you look at part of that bill, Section 3 indicates that the transmission to the public portal, that is of results, is purposely for public information only and is not to be relied on in announcing the final results. So what some of these NASA supporters or members of parliament are asking, they're raising question with regards to the huge amount of money the Kenya spent on this electronic system. They spent about 2 billion Kenyan shillings. Was all this in vain?
It's not only Kenya. We also got information that even countries that are so advanced, like Germany, they have done away with it. So, but in our case, we are simply saying, is it, did we respect the ballot cast by a voter? Was it respected? And to us, I think from the ruling, it was taken, it was not given the due weight that we would expect. Because to a common man in the village, they don't understand those things of server and so on. All they know is they had their cast, the ballot cast, and they would want to ask very simple questions. That vote added to the vote of Mwanzo and so on. How far did that enable somebody to win the election? That is all they want to know. The basic question they want to ask answered. That is it.
Honorable Mwanzo, do you agree with your fellow member of parliament here that the electronic system should be dealt away with?
No, I don't agree.
And what does that mean for the transparency of the election process?
At all, because electronic system includes the BVR kits whereby you have the biometric identification. If you don't have biometric identification, automatically it means even the dead are going to vote. If you're talking about the vote which has been cast at a village, it must be protected so that whatever is cast at the village is what goes to Bomas of Kenya. And when it gets to Bomas of Kenya, it should not be changed. If an agent is not satisfied that what is on Form 34 is not what is in the ballot box, they have reasons to refuse to sign and give reasons or get everything counter-checked by the presiding officer before it leaves that particular police station. So we just want to make sure that the Kenyan election is not stolen, unlike the German case, whereby in Germany, the people are not greedy for power, they don't want shortcuts, they don't want to steal. But here, the system, the scenario is different. Somebody wants to go to power
and there's
by
this
whatever means.
There's this quote that has been, it has gone viral, I must say, from Senator Kindiki. And this is what he said yesterday, that NASA is complaining about Jubilee using numbers. What is the problem of the majority making a decision? And he's saying NASA is happy with the majority decision made by the Supreme Court.
No, Kindiki was just mistaken. And a lot of times he's usually excited over nothing. The truth of the matter is from the information in the portal and the information in the ballot box must not be interfered with. And we know in the last case they were interfered with. We know Jubilee refused to have the servers open. They refused to recount the vote. So the judges were presented with a scenario whereby we can only repeat the polls. And now that we are ready to repeat the polls, Kindiki should be concerned with free and fair polls, not shortcuts. You remember it is in his count where a lot of votes are ordinarily stolen over the last 4 or 5 elections. Is where people disappear, where you cannot get presiding officers, polling officers, you can't find them, even from the days of Kivuitu. So we just want a clean and fair election so that whoever wins, wins fairly, and whoever loses, loses fairly.
Are you saying the fact that Jubilee has a big number in Parliament does not necessarily give them the right to change the law anyhow?
It doesn't, and most of them are going through election petitions. In fact, most of them stole the vote, and we are in court with many of them, and I'm sure there will be many repeat polls, and most of them will not come back to Parliament. So they cannot really insist that they have numbers as such.
Yeah.
Honourable Wilson, let's talk about how this bill...
With due respect,
as you react to that,
the picture we seem to be painting here, to me, I think we are not being honest. The same IBC, which we are a product of. Mwanzo here is a product of the same IBC.
I think we've had this conversation before. Both members of Parliament from NASA and Jubilee are as a result of the same electoral law.
That's why the election petitions to clean up.
Exactly. Let's now...
I think we are not being honest.
Let's now, Honourable Wilson,
to
let's talk about how the bill was handled first. The bill publication period was reduced from 14 days to just a day. So people are questioning why the rush and why is Jubilee so keen in changing the laws even before the presidential rerun?
If it is not going to affect the coming elections, then why the worry?
What I'm asking myself,
is, we are thinking about, can we make IBC more effective? Can we avoid in future a crisis? For example, if we have, say, the chairman of IBC, in case of anything, with the current situation, if in case of anything, where we are saying the chairman should be a lawyer, the chairman should be, in case of anything, where shall we be as a country? And it's not only IBC.
In case of anything, what do you mean?
No. There's a vice chairman. Automatically, in case something happens, there's a vice chairman.
Let him
so
finish.
the effort to frustrate the chairman is very well calculated because they think that the chairman is affiliated to NASA. And that's not the case. This has been a very fair chairman, and he understands, and he has a vice chairman. He's not the only one.
According to the law, if anything happens to the chairman,
yes,
then there is a process that has to be followed before you get another chairman. But we are simply saying we create room so that in case of anything, we are not in a crisis. The vice chairman can take over. In case of anything, we can have even the other members coming in so that the country can move on.
So that is part of the proposal in the bill.
That's part of the
Honorable
proposal.
Manzo, as much as NASA is against this amendment bill, are there some elements in it that make sense to you?
Well, not much, not as such, other than the election offences bill. You know, there are two bills, the electoral laws and the election offences. Election offences is making sure that, and that's an order amendment, it's not brought recently. It's just been lumped together, such that if any of the poll official interferes with the election, is punished severely. That's a positive amendment. But the rest of it is mischievous. It is calculated to frustrate the chairman. There is already no crisis if the chairman something was to happen to the chairman. There's none at all. There's no crisis. And this is just a day's event. I can assure you Kenyans will vote by 5 o'clock. By 6:30, by 5:30, most polling stations will have been counted. By 6, most of the agents will have relayed the results. By 6:30, we'll know who's the new president of Kenya. So there's no need to panic. This is just a day's activity. Although it has to be prepared, it's a process preparing it.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say the bill passes through Parliament, and I'm sure it's going to pass because Jubilee has more numbers than the opposition. So what is the opposition next action?
Of course, you go to court and smash it in the court, take it to where it belongs. You can see so far we are not going to participate. Let it be a Jubilee affair. And then the moment they are through with it, the president has to assent to it. Already there is conflict of interest for the president to sign a bill which favors him, which he has asked his people to make. So it will not work for him.
Honorable Wilson, this sounds to me like a very long process, and if you look at the legal timelines before we exhaust, of course we have only 26 days to that presidential rerun. So do you think there's a possibility that we might face a crisis?
We are not panicking at all as Jubilee. We are not. What we are simply saying is even the amendments that are being made here may not necessarily even be applicable to the coming election. But we are saying, for the sake of the future, we need to go